So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to Facebook, right? Which is right here, and I'm going to set it up right there to fetch the stream. See, it's fetching the video stream. Now we'll see if it gets the video stream. Last time I didn't have enough time to spare to get this going, so I'm just going to have to start it. Okay, so I'm going to go live right now.
Bernie Sanders' stepdaughter was paid $500,000 to teach woodworking at his wife's bankrupt college.
Well,
$500,000, huh?
That's why the college is bankrupt. That's what they're.
okay, so that's done, and all I have to do there is get that in the background. So you can play around with it on this side. This is your preview screen. When you hit transition, whatever you hit that's over there goes on live, okay?
Okay.
But the audio remains whatever the audio is, the radio station. This is feeding that out of the headphones. So that doesn't interfere with anything. I'm going to use the men's room while I got a chance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I'll introduce myself. My name's Vic.
I'm John.
Jonah.
And Josh.
Jonah, Josh.
Wayne.
Wayne. Wayne, you're the dad.
I'm the dad, yeah.
Great. Thanks for bringing the boys out.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
I hope you don't have too much rain in the road.
Oh, no. It's all right. It came out pretty good.
Well, really appreciate this, and I'm glad that your young men are interested and paying attention and active this way.
Oh, yeah, they're very active.
I'm very proud of our teams here in Volusia County. I'm sure you're proud of your boys. Because this is the kind of generation we need to step up and take over for us, right?
Yeah, that's for sure. I agree.
Yeah. So this is, as you can see, this is developed into quite an ambitious undertaking.
Hey, thank you for doing what you're doing, what Tony's done is a great job, because we, as a collective team, we have a president of the White House.
Grassroots is, West Virginia tonight is going to be like a rock star again,
Yeah.
And they don't know. Washington, they're just starting to realize that they can't cut through that. They can't see that.
He has to take them down. They got to be taken down because they're never going to stop.
Third time's the king.
Oh, I know. There's no like. Look at they Mueller handling the grand jury.
Well, yeah, and at this point it's out of their hands. What their hands are. Trump's got a good battery of attorneys. He just wants to avoid the Nixon mistakes of trying to trip it up. Now he's just got to, okay, whatever it is, we'll just battle it under the level. But he's got to just continue doing what he's doing. At some point, it'll be so politically unpopular because the economy will be roaring. Nobody will want to give him credit for it. The economy's already starting to roar.
Yeah.
Jobs coming back, major investments, taxes. If they get the tax reform and the health care done, they won't be able to touch them no matter what.
You're right. I agree. I mean, I talked to some people, more voters. It seems like 2 out of every 5 people that didn't vote for him will now vote for him.
A lot of people don't like what they're doing.
No.
And that's going to backfire.
If people had it with Russia, they don't want to hear it.
Do you hear the news? He's in West Virginia tonight. The Democrat governor of West Virginia is going to be on the stage with him announcing that he's changing from a Democrat to a Republican.
Are you sure? That's what Tony is that right? Yeah. That's incredible. That's going to be incredible, huh?
See, when he was over in Ukraine, you heard about him talking about oil. Part of this is because he sold them some coal, and the coal is coming out of Pennsylvania that he sold to Ukraine because Russia couldn't supply him. So Russia's losing, and we're winning the business side of it. So,
and that's he's a genius. He's a
yeah,
businessman.
see this what I heard this on the radio earlier. This governor is like a billionaire, just like Trump is,
Yeah.
and he's a business person, and he's more like Trump than he is the Democrat. So that's why he's flipping.
Right, but that's going to be big news, except for the mainstream. They won't report it, but Hannity will have it. That's huge.
What do you think?
Well, I really don't know the situation for him in West Virginia, other than the state has moved generally to being more on presidential elections, solid.
What's wrong with your clock up there?
Used to be solid Democrat.
It's on Obama time?
It's on a different time of its own, yes.
She's a Republican.
Because I normally look up there and see if we go on the radio.
About 2
That
minutes.
state is a good state for a Republican. So I'm glad the guy's coming over. I don't know what he'll do for his reelection.
Okay.
Has any of
success. We've had so many glitches trying to get on Facebook Live. We're on live right now, so I went on early, so we didn't have any problems.
Beautiful.
We're on YouTube and Facebook Live right now on the standby mode. So
Also, if I go on Facebook,
if you go on Facebook, you can see the show as it appears to people on Facebook.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good.
party that you're coming into,
And it's just the call numbers.
it's really not great.
No, you're gonna see this.
No, it's on Facebook
You're gonna see
Live.
this billboard, stand by, it's on the Volusia County Republican Party
There are
Facebook
people who
page.
wish you Bill is going to
Volusia Party, Volusia County Republican Party Facebook page. Right now it's
so
live.
that John can hear you, so we can do this three-way.
Yeah, there it is.
Mike, and you start me. Mike, you're on WNDB with John.
Right now, it's all we're hearing is this crap from Le Boutelier, but Mark gets inadvertently promoted by us. Okay, so I'm gonna mention the Senate. Huh? Yeah, yeah. The Senate confirming 65 Trump nominees. I'll do that on camera, right? Then I'll mention the Mueller grand jury. You got that up there, right, Mueller? Mueller's name is right near the top. No, gotta go. Just bring it down. See?
Oh, yeah.
See? Yeah. Situational awareness. Just got to remember where you are on the list. I won't jump around too much on you. Then I'll talk about McMaster and Bannon and Susan Rice and that crew. And she's. Did I put her in there? Let's see now. McMaster, Bannon, McMaster, Pompeo. Let me put the Susan Rice thing in there too.
Where do you scroll on that? Like, do you use
You just two fingers up and down.
Oh, okay.
Two fingers up and down. Vizsla here, Rice Brennan. I'm going to move that up.
Go back and look at the 8 years of Obama.
Okay. Two fingers. It's a touch thing, right?
Yeah.
I'm
so used to the mouse. On that.
Yeah, this is like a mouse, but it's a trackpad. So Bannon, McMaster, McMaster.
Listen, Trump does a good job running the country. He'll do.
We'll talk about Rice, Brennan, former CIA director, and Samantha Power, the UN ambassador. They were all unmasking people, right?
Mhm.
So I'm going to talk in general about those. There's no script to it. I just ad lib it, you know.
Yeah.
I'm just following along with the, the only real script that I actually read is the opening monologue. The rest of it's all ad lib. And I've got the topics run down right here for you. But generally speaking, I'm jumping out on some of the topics because I'm pushing some of the stuff up closer to the top just because it's fresher, you know. So that's...
No, he didn't call the White House a dump.
He denies saying it was a dump?
He denies it in a
Oh, fake news.
Fake news. Yeah, something
Yes, he denies saying it, John. You weren't there, so shut up.
He said it at the Fed.
No, this is mine.
Oh,
okay.
One of the members asked him something, and he said, I'd rather be here
Okay,
because the White
All right.
House has places at dump.
good.
Yeah.
All right, don't get nervous about it.
True.
It'll be good.
I don't think the White House is a dump.
This will be the first time I will have the audio.
My older sister.
Let me see if I can hear the audio on this.
Will I be talking or no?
No.
Okay.
After 8 years of the Obamas living in.
This will be the first time I will have the audio.
So who knows?
Nope, that's... Uh-oh, nope, something's wrong. Something's wrong. Hold on. Something's wrong.
Yeah, because they're hearing us.
We're hearing the studio. Okay, so we've got to...
3 days ago, Trump made a statement that you can obviously look up if you have access to Google.
Gotta turn that down.
That's going out over Facebook.
Yeah, we gotta turn that off.
The day he was inaugurated.
Filters, properties.
The Dow actually closed at
Scarlet Soul.
732. Why
We
would
didn't
you
say
make
anything
a
bad,
statement
did we?
like that?
No.
It's obvious that people can look it up.
All right.
To me, that's not so much a lie, that one is a mistake. And he saw it on TV or got the number confused or he mistyped
Must be taking the mic from the computer.
I had it plugged in the wrong spot.
You should warn
It was taken in instead of putting out. So let me just listen to it now.
stuff out over Twitter all times of day and night.
I had it plugged in the wrong spot.
Makes a mistake like this.
No, something's wrong here.
George, thank you. We have some open phones at 239-0033, AT&T star 1150. Open phones. This is your chance. If you'd like to ask a question of John on any of the things we're talking about, please feel free to do so at 239-0033, AT&T star 1150.
That was the sound.
And Major League Baseball players are so unbelievably good at what they do. Same with football, basketball, hockey. I mean, we pay a lot of money to watch these athletes for a reason. They're the best in the world at what they do. And we wish we could do it, and we can't hold a candle to them.
This is Mark Bernier Replay Today. Highlights from today's show that you may have missed. WNDB. Chuck Bennett and Mark Bernier in the morning. News and information. You're on FM 93.5, AM 1150, WNDB, Daytona Beach.
It's a sign that Special Prosecutor Robert Mueller is intensifying his investigation of the Russian election meddling. A grand jury has been impaneled in Washington. The Wall Street Journal reports as part of the investigation of Russian election interference. And newspapers citing two people familiar with the matter report that a sign the inquiry is growing in intensity and likely to continue for months. The spokesman for Robert Mueller, the special counsel leading the investigation, declined to comment. An attorney for President Trump says he isn't aware Mueller impaneled a grand jury, but tells Fox News, "We favor anything that brings this investigation to a swift conclusion." Fox's Jared Halpern. Just today, two bipartisan bills introduced in Congress to make it tougher for any president to fire a special counsel. One would permit a 14-day appeal process for any firing. Another would require a judge's approval before such a firing. Complete transcripts of two difficult phone calls President Trump had with foreign leaders shortly after taking office, published in the Washington Post. Senator Bob Corker says the president should fire anybody who could have been involved in the leak. A grand jury has been... Other lawmakers say because the calls may have contained classified information, leaking them may have been a felony. The president is about to speak momentarily in West Virginia at a rally.
Hundreds of excited Trump supporters stood in the sun outside this arena, which is near the borders of West Virginia, Ohio, and Kentucky, chanting Trump and USA for hours. And we just talked to the sheriff. He said the capacity of this room, the Big Sandy Superstore Arena, is 8,600. They are now at capacity, and the sheriff says they've already turned hundreds of people away.
Attorney General Jeff Sessions is cracking down again on so-called sanctuary cities, this time threatening to keep federal crime-fighting resources from cities if they don't cooperate with federal immigration authorities. Fox News, fair and balanced.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that can save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I shopped the many highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $27 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much. For your free quote, call 800-224-5353. That's 800-224-5353.
800-224-5353 or go to selectquote.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policy at selectquote.com/commercials and price compare depending on your health issue.
More stuff coming out about McMaster.
The opinions expressed on this show are those of the participants, the hosts, the guests, and the callers, and do not necessarily reflect the opinions and views of Southern Stone Communications, WNDB Radio, its employees, and friends. Comments regarding WNDB's programming can be addressed to D. Lane at DaytonaRadio.com.
Live from Daytona Beach, Florida, bringing a voice to America's forgotten working class, speaking the truth for the America that Washington left behind, making America great again, 1 hour at a time. This is Trump Talk Live, where we the people have the right voice, presented by the Republican Party of Volusia County. Now, here are your hosts, Vic Baker and Tony Ledbetter.
Greetings, fellow American patriot Trumppublicans, and welcome to the White House musical chairs, Game of Thrones, congressional flatline, North Korea nuclear madness, immigration reform, scandal-a-minute episode of Trump Talk Live, the home of fearless truth-telling about President Donald Trump and his mission to make America great again, even if it hurts trying. Well, another breathtaking denouement and sequence of maneuvers worthy of a Game of Thrones plot. Just 10 days after emerging as a shooting star of the new Trump White House, Communications Director Anthony Scaramucci crashed to earth in a pile of his own vulgar leaks to a New Yorker reporter. Remember, Mooch was the one who came in promising to plug the leaks on fire or fire every single leaker. Well, he did manage to expedite the departure of White House Chief of Staff Reince Priebus and White House spokesman Sean Spicer, elevating Sarah Huckabee Sanders to the press room podium, but he fell on his own sword tongue, sloppy talk. Enter the distinguished General and Homeland Security Secretary John Kelly to calm the turbulent waters. Kelly now holds the keys to the Oval Office and perhaps even President Trump's vaunted Twitter account. National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster, who's been purging Trump people from the White House, may be the next one to see his way to the war front in Afghanistan. President Trump's new 4-star general and chief of staff John Kelly may move the 3-star general assigned and dispatch him to command troops in Afghanistan. Trump's trusted CIA chief Mike Pompeo may then take the national security advisor job. Steve Bannon is still a survivor, so far in this White House. North Korea has fired an ICBM capable of reaching the U.S., so President Trump has a difficult and limited range of options. A preemptive military strike could cost millions of lives. Dealing with China may lead to a trade war. No easy answers here, but an answer will be forthcoming nonetheless. Former Obama National Security aide Ben Rhodes is now a person of interest in the unmasking and leaking of names to hurt Trump. Democrat Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz has some explaining to do about how she and Democrats in Congress paid millions to a Trojan horse Pakistani and his cronies, putting national security at risk. Stunning claims that murdered DNC aide Seth Rich may have been the one who actually leaked the DNC emails and not the Russians. How about that? And that he may have handed them over to that Russian attorney who met with Donald Trump Jr. at Trump Tower. Sarah Huckabee Sanders takes the media to the woodshed over their breathtaking double standards in tearing down Trump. And White House senior advisor Steve Miller takes CNN's Jim Acosta to school on the real history of immigration in America. No, Emma Lazarus did not write an immigration law. Give us your tired alibis, your poor excuses, your fabricated fake news, yearning to breathe free of the truth. It's a poem, Jim. It's not the law. I'm your Trumpublican mouthpiece, Vic Baker, co-hosting Trump Talk Live tonight with a man who sees red every time he meets a Democrat sorely in need of reform. Volusia County Republican Chairman Tony Ledbetter. Tony. Oh, and by the way, we want to call out, and we got a shout-out tonight, filling in for Duncan DeMarsh and the president of the Volusia Tars. We have with us Jacob Scott, president of the Seminole County Tars. Get behind the windows, guys, and say hi. They're coming to join us, the crew from Seminole County, another loyal Republican group of teenage Republicans. Just be careful. You don't get tangled up, guys. Say hi to the camera. And now to Tony Ledbetter.
All right, great.
Switch around.
That was a good one there, Vic. Thank you. I apologize with my job as chairman of the county. I do have other things to do. We last Thursday night interviewed two fantastic school board candidates that we will be telling you more about as we get into the 2018 cycle. But we've got some good people on track to do that. I wake up every day thanking God that President Trump is our president, because I know for a fact that had he not got elected, we would be in a lot of trouble. I also wake up every day worried about the fact that we can't believe the news media, which is a shame, because you know I'm 70 years old. When I grew up, I could watch TV and believe what they said. Today, you can't watch TV and believe what they said. That's why we're here to make sure that you know all the positive things that President Trump is doing, call out all the fake news, and I want to encourage you one more time, go to Volusia County Republican Facebook. You will find no more better informed Facebook page in the entire state of Florida. There's 67 counties. Vic and I put up more stuff every day to promote the good things that President Trump is doing, and also to let you know about the fake news, and there's still plenty of it out there. A lot to go over tonight, so we'll get back to and see what Vic's got up next.
Okay, Tony, let's go on. We've got a lot of headlines just this afternoon. The Senate has actually confirmed anywhere between 65 and 80 Trump nominees that have been bottlenecked by Chuck Schumer, the schemer, and his crew. That's because Mitch said he was going to keep them through August if they didn't get it done, so they decided to do it. You know, they didn't cancel the August recess. That's an outmoded custom and tradition that dates back to the time when people who belonged to Congress were actually farmers and had to get the crops in August. And also, they didn't have air conditioning back in the old days, but that's no longer the case. They need to get their work done, and they didn't get much done this session so far. So
that's true, and I know that probably during the recess, I hope there's several hundred more that President Trump can insert in through the recess appointment situation. I think we have somebody on the phone.
We have a caller. Lee in Port Orange is on the phone. Welcome to Trump Talk Live, Lee. Well, Lee, I appreciate your sentiments. We would all like to see that happen, but I have a fear that if he were to do that, a lot of the weak-kneed members of Congress on the Republican side might abandon him. It's not at a point yet where he has that kind of position to do that. Once we get tax reform or health care taken care of and the economy starts soaring, it's going to be tougher for them to go after Trump. But right now, he's not in a position to do this. I think what can be done is we can point out that Mueller has some critical, almost fatal conflicts of interest in his friendship with Comey and other aspects that should disqualify him for the office. We try illegal means that way, but to directly fire him, I think, could be dangerous to Trump's presidency. So I think we have to see how this plays itself out, and if Trump has nothing to hide, we should be okay. But of course, there's always the creep of a special prosecutor, and the word creep does kind of come into mind when it comes to special prosecutors.
Thank you. Right.
We appreciate it, Lee. We thank you for calling in and appreciate your sentiments, and please spread the word about Trump Talk Live. Thank you for calling tonight. And H.R. McMaster, now we can put him up, H.R. McMaster, the National Security Advisor. It turns out in April, he granted a waiver to Susan Rice, who's already been exposed as an unmasker of many names of the Trump administration. He gave her a clearance to continue accessing national security items. This is unfathomable to me because she probably is the source of a lot of the leaks. And she and Brennan and Susan Power, the former UN ambassador, Samantha Power, I'm sorry, Samantha
this is
Power.
unconscionable, the fact that President Trump trusted this guy. And as far as I know, and talking to Vic, I mean, he was not an Obama holdover, but yet he, he did this. From what we have read and what I've seen on Facebook already, he was let's face it, who's been doing the leaking? I mean, if Susan Rice has had access since April to our intelligence, intercepts, and the whole 9 yards, then she's probably responsible for most of the leaks. And I hope that President Trump deals with this swiftly, or either the new general in the White House deals with this swiftly, because this is a leak hole that's got to be plugged immediately.
Yeah. Susan Rice Brennan and Samantha Power, the former UN ambassador, who had no business unmasking people's names. I think this is going to come to light. The new focus is going to be on those folks with Trey Gowdy's Intelligence Committee probe. Jeff Sessions is going to have a big announcement tomorrow about criminal investigation of leaks. He's going to have Dan Coats, the National Director of National Security, with him, and the Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, to announce a massive criminal probe of the leaks. So we're hoping they're going to focus in on that. Now, among the leaks that happened just today were the details published by the Washington Post of Trump's conversations with the President of Mexico and the Prime Minister of Australia, where he had some rather, very frank discussions with him, and he asked the President of Mexico, who opposed the wall, paying for the wall, just to say, just be quiet about it, will you? Just be quiet about it. And Nieto did agree to be quiet about it, even though he said he still opposed it.
And didn't this actual phone call actually happen back
January?
Yeah,
January 28th.
So this actually happened back then.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Susan Rice got access to the, so where she could see it and read it.
We don't know.
We don't know that, but I mean, there's obviously she's she's a snake in the grass, and so I'll blame her for it.
Well, one of the people who came in guns blazing to try to stop the leaks, Scaramucci. He came in like a bare-knuckled Queens brawler, and he went after Reince Priebus, and of course Mooch managed to get rid of Reince Priebus, and John Kelly came in, but the first thing that John Kelly demanded was that Mooch had to go, because the vulgarity of the leaks and the lack of discretion in how they were purveyed was not acceptable to General Kelly. Well, Trump announced Kelly's the beginning of Kelly's term of service this Monday, and he had these remarks on his first day.
Swore in General Kelly. He will do a spectacular job, I have no doubt, as Chief of Staff. What he's done in terms of homeland security is record-shattering. You look at the border, you look at the tremendous results we've had, and you look at the spirit. And with a very controversial situation, there's been very little controversy, which is pretty amazing by itself. So I want to congratulate you on having done a fantastic job, General, and we look forward to, if it's possible, an even better job.
Well, that pretty much sums it up. We have a caller. Ken in Ormond Beach is on Trump Talk Live. Ken, go ahead. Ken, you're on the air. Sure. Ken, your analysis is spot on. Attorney Greg Jarrett, who's also an anchor at Fox News, has said exactly the same thing. As an attorney, he cited the same statute and said it's not a question of his option. It says he must step down. So I think Trump could press the issue, but I think... Yeah, exactly, yeah. Well, have you ever gone to jury duty and they ask you if you know the prosecutor? I've got excused a number of times because I was personal friends with the prosecutor. There you go. Yeah.
Well, Sessions, you know, the dream thing that possibly could happen, and this has been out in the news media, is you know, they take Attorney General Sessions, move him over to DHS, and then put somebody new in the Attorney General's position who has not recused himself, and then they could do whatever needed to be done. But let's face it, we don't live in the real world anymore, because nobody, I mean, everybody is 100% against our president, and that's why nobody is stepping up, and that's why, I mean, if President Trump were to fire Mueller today, you think we've seen bad stuff? I mean, World War IV would start, and he just, I mean, he doesn't need that. But yet again, I mean, I've done a lot of reading on this, and we still have a 50-50 shot at, you know, this thing not killing Trump, but killing Clinton. So,
well, law of unintended consequences, but of course I'll also say, Tony, that kind of scenario you laid out is not likely, because the Senate would be opposed to it in a big measure on both sides of the aisle. But the old expression goes, if wishes were horses, then beggars would ride. We will return with more Trump Talk Live in a moment.
Your voice can be heard loud and clear right here on Trump Talk Live. Our local number is 239-0033.
Just try to keep up when you hear the names being mentioned. Just try to find the name and pop it in. You know, play it. Just, you know, like a disc jockey,
We're
right?
not done yet.
Yeah.
More Trump Talk Live is
This
just
breaks
ahead.
about a minute
In
long.
God we trust. In America, we
you guys?
Sure.
Feeling stuck in a state of compensation stagnation? You know, another year with no raise. Then let State Farm agent Sonia Mori in DeLand help you get to a better state with a discount double check that can stretch your hard-earned dollars a little farther. Sonia will go through your car insurance to make sure you're getting all the discounts you deserve. Discounts that could add up to 40% and put a few hundred extra dollars in your pocket. Sound good? Then get your budget to a better state by calling State Farm agent Sonia Mori in DeLand today. Discounts may vary state to state.
Tired of waiting for your roof to be repaired? It's time to call AR1 Roofing. With AR1 Roofing, you're
John Kelly, Sessions, we'll have fired up, you know, lined up me on camera, and then Sessions and Rick Perry, if we have him in there.
All right. Okay. There's no need to wait for that roof repair. It's time to call AR1 Roofing. 386-279-2124.
I'll talk more about McMaster.
Visit them on Facebook and at ar1roofing.com.
Your voice can be heard loud and clear right here on Trump Talk Live. Our local number is 239-0033. You can call us toll-free from anywhere in the USA at 800-927.
Welcome back, Trumpublicans. John Kelly, the new chief of staff of the White House, has assured Jeff Sessions that he will not be forced to resign by the president. The president wants to keep him on. I think the purpose, Tony, of beating Sessions up verbally was just to get him to steel his reserve a little bit and fight a little bit more on behalf of Trump's cause, and not be so, shall we say, wimpy in his approach to things. The recusal really upset Trump. Also, the list of likely successors to General Kelly at the Department of Homeland Security, which is very important. Rick Perry, who was governor of Texas for 2 terms at least, I believe, if not 3, and knows the border issues quite well, is considered a strong contender, which would then open up somebody to be replaced at the Energy Department. So the musical chairs games continue. Now, there is a war going on between Steve Bannon, behind-the-scenes counselor to the president, Tony, and McMaster. And no doubt in my mind, McBannon may be behind some of these leaks of information about how he fired and purged 4 or 5 loyal Trump
well, that's good. I mean, if McMaster's up there purging pro-Trump Republicans out of the White House, then the general needs to escort him out of the White House.
What's more important than that, just that part, is the fact that he is trying to curb the advice given to the president about things like the Iran deal.
Yeah.
There was one staffer that was dispatched and fired after his report to the president was sidetracked, and the report was a means by which we could withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal, which Bannon seems to be, or not Bannon, McMaster seems to be in love with for some reason. He also doesn't seem to be that strong a supporter of Israel. So he seems to also have quite a friendly relationship with people like Susan Rice, which is quite questionable. So we'll have to see what happens with that aspect of stuff. But yeah, he fired a national security staffer who penned an article about the danger of the globalists. And By the way, Putin has told the U.S. that we have to shed 755 diplomatic staff in Russia because of the sanctions that the Congress imposed, and the president had no choice but to sign it. Former Obama aide, Obamanista Ben Rhodes, the man who joked about how he duped the American public with Obamacare, and then he also was Deputy National Security Advisor under Obama. Well, Ben Rhodes is now a person of interest in the unmasking investigation as well. Trey Gowdy, not Kurt Gowdy. Trey Gowdy's House Intelligence Committee is going to be taking a very serious look at Ben Rhodes' role in the unmasking and possible leaks of information damaging to Trump. And so we have that. So he's a person of interest. New calls for criminal investigation of Obama aides in the unmasking scandal. They are going to be asking for a special counsel just for that. This whole thing is going to backfire at some point. They used to call this getting hoist with your own petars in the old days, when you're trying to fire a cannon into the castle wall and all of a sudden the thing turns around and blows your head off.
Right, and I think, too, that, Attorney General Sessions tomorrow is supposed to talk about this and what they're planning on doing. And I really believe it's what I said before. I don't like how he has put this thing together with all these Democrats, but I'm not 100% saying that it's going to be a negative thing. They are still in search of a crime because they haven't found a crime yet. So I believe that if Mueller is who everybody says he is, a long-time FBI agent, that hopefully he will do the right thing and bring in and start investigating, the Hilder beast on the other side, and so.
Yeah, well, let's put the shoe on the other foot for a moment. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, her IT
needs to
aide,
be in jail.
Imran Awan, was caught trying to flee the country for Pakistan, caught at, I believe, Dulles Airport, trying to take off. He's caught up on a bank fraud charge, but apparently there's all sorts of shenanigans going on with this fella and his brothers, all Pakistani Muslims, and their cronies and their friends and family. And they were, everybody from a McDonald's employee to some other people were employed as IT aides, and they were mostly no-show jobs. And apparently the payroll, the Democrats shelled out of taxpayer money to these
yeah, where did the money go?
These folks, well, yeah.
Why are they working at McDonald's if they're getting $4 million?
$4 million over the several years of taxpayer money paid to these guys who had access virtually to the computers and emails of almost every member of Congress, if not every member of Congress. Then you ask yourself, we're worried about Russia hacking our election when our entire United States Congress, or at least the Democrat Congress people, are relying on these Pakistani nationals?
He had access months after all the Democrats in the House turned him off. They forbid him for doing anything, and then Debbie Blabbermouth Schultz is what I call her. She gives him access to her passwords to get back into the same system. She needs to be sharing the same cell with him.
And she wanted to keep paying this guy even after his arrest. Now, a week has passed.
She wanted to keep paying him after he got back to Pakistan.
Well, that's right. And a week has passed now since the arrest of former House staffer Imran Awan, and the establishment media have given the event only superficial coverage. Awan, a Pakistani immigrant, was formerly employed by more than 30 House Democrats as an IT technician. Most members fired him following an announcement in February of an FBI probe into his potentially criminal behavior during his tenure as a Hill staffer. However, he remained an employee of Debbie Wasserman Schultz's D.C. office until his arrest last week while attempting to flee to Pakistan. Now, CNN has only made one or two on-air acknowledgments of this. The New York Times waited a week to talk about it. I mean, they're trying to just downplay it and forget about it. But this is not going to go away. This is going to explode. It's a can of worms, folks. It's a can of worms. Also, Seth Rich, they called it a wild conspiracy theory. This DNC staffer, 27-year-old DNC staffer, as it turns out, Seymour Hersh, former New York Times investigative reporter of some great repute. He was involved with the Pentagon Papers. Cy Hersh is putting out information. He believes he has information that Seth Rich was probably the guy who leaked the DNC Podesta emails to the Russian lawyer, Natalia Veselnitskaya. That's the woman who met with Donald Trump Jr. at Trump Tower. Now, the Kremlin was not the source of this stuff. It may have been the DNC staffer who wound up getting mysteriously murdered on the streets of Washington, D.C., and the cops from D.C. are notoriously incurious about how he died, since there was no sign of any actual robbery. He died a la Clinton, unfortunate circumstance. You know, all those folks that
anybody close to Clinton, I pray for you.
A new explosive claim by Radar Online may destroy the Russian collusion story forever. I call it the Russian collusion delusion. A GOP operative, Jack Burnham, claims that Seth Rich leaked DNC emails to Natalia Veselnitskaya, the same lawyer who met with Donald Trump Jr. at Trump Tower last year. So Berkman, a GOP-connected lawyer who's been probing Rich's death since the fall of 2016, tells Radar that Russian lawyer Veselnitskaya, who met Donald Trump Jr. at Trump Tower, New York City in June of 2016, also met around the same time with a murdered DNC employee. So, I mean, you connect the dots on that. Cy Hirsch states that Seth Rich was the WikiLeaks source. An audio recording provided to Big League Politics by a source that currently wishes to remain anonymous, journalist Seymour Hirsch, confirms that Seth Rich had contacted WikiLeaks with sample emails from the leak. Hirsch cites an FBI document as proof of his claim. There are no DNC or Podesta emails that exist beyond May 21st or 22nd, emailed from either one of those groups. What the report says is that sometime in late spring he makes contact with WikiLeaks, and that's in his computer, he says. Anyway, they found that he had submitted a series of documents of emails, of juicy emails from the DNC. We have a caller, Sally, calling on a cell from Ormond Beach.
Ormond Beach.
Sally, welcome to Trump Talk Live.
Hey.
Good to hear from you, Sally.
Oh, Sally from North Ormond Beach. I know, you're on the line up there. Oh, yeah.
That's here.
Yep.
It's available, Sally. If you look at the same places I look every day, or Tony looks every day, I'm scouring all these websites. We have, yeah. Oh yeah, you know that they're ignoring.
Yeah,
it.
you want ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, all of them to talk about it, and I do too. But you know, remember the Harvard study, and you know where they came out and said that that all of these people, 80-90% of the time, were producing fake news about the president. So yeah. Yep. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
But I really believe, I have faith every day that the president, when he tweets, the media runs to follow the tweet, and he goes back to work and gets his job done. He's doing things every day to protect this country. I have faith in him, so I really don't care what the news media is doing. I have cut back a lot on what I watch. Yeah. Yeah.
I want to keep my blood pressure down, Sally. Yeah.
Yeah.
We appreciate your call. Thank you. Spread the word
See
and
you
keep
at
the
the
faith.
Lincoln Day dinner.
Oh, Sally's gone. Thank you, Sally, for your
Thank
call.
you, Sally.
Well, we've got to come to another break, after which we will get a little tongue lashing from Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
Voice can be heard loud and clear right here on Trump Talk Live. Our local
All right. How we doing, guys? How we doing, guys? It's all kind of like rock and roll. You want to do your sponsors coming out, Tony?
Yeah.
We'll come out to Tony first out of the break, and he'll do the sponsors. How we doing? Keeping up okay?
Yeah, we're doing good.
Yeah, you get the hang of it now? Yeah, that's cool. See? It's a good skill set to have, you know? This day and age.
Love being on the water with all the hassles of owning a boat? Check out the affordable alternative.
It's great you guys do this here to get the word out.
Yeah. Well, spread the word. We need contributions. It costs a lot of money to put it out. So.
Yeah.
No cleaning, no maintenance, no storage.
We're doing it on the cheap as best we can. We've got to pay these guys, though.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Join and enjoy unlimited boating at all 3 locations. Plus, Freedom Boat Club has over 100 locations in 21 states and Canada.
Just so you know, they can
Sponsor
stay here.
exciting and fun social events, including trips to the Bahamas, Tomoka River trips, wine tastings, member parties, and more. Most of their current members are previous boat owners who say they're on the water about 5 times more than they used to be. Because 100% of your time is spent enjoying the boat, not cleaning and repairing it. Call Sam for special pricing and to find out more about how to join the nation's oldest and largest boat club. Call 386-295-3696 or visit freedomboatclub.com. Don't miss the open house at the new Smyrna location from 11 to 3 Saturday, August 5th with special pricing for all 4 locations.
Your voice can be heard loud and clear right here on Trump Talk Live. Our local number is 239-0033. You can call us toll-free from anywhere in the USA at 800-927.
All right, we're back. This is Tony Ledbetter. Want to talk about the 2017 Lincoln Day dinner. We're going to have the judge. And there's only one judge that I care about. Her name is Judge Jeanine Pirro. And I really believe in the statement I'm fixing to tell you. You know, President Trump is probably the #1 hated person in the country of all the anti-Trumpers. The #2 person that fills in that slot is Kellyanne Conway, and I believe the judge is in the 3rd slot because every single day Kellyanne is defending the president, and every single day the judge is defending the president. We're going to have a Lincoln Day dinner on October the 8th. It'll be at the Convention Center. If you want tickets, you can go to our website, recbc.org, or you can call my cell phone number, 386-235-7755. And we're going to have probably between 700 and 800 people at the Convention Center for the dinner. So next up is, of course, pizza in DeLand. Mary Marino is one of our sponsors. She has a pizza shop in DeLand. We've got Keith Plumbing Company, Milne Plumbing Company. He's one of our friends, 386-986-8688. That's his telephone number if you need roofing done, 386-986-8688. So, or if you want to help sponsor this show, you can call me at 386-235-7755 and make a donation to the party because we do pay for this, and we're here every day to defend the president and make sure you know where the fake news is. What's next?
Okay, thanks, Tony. Just a little audio advice to folks. We're still working on kinks in this show. We got the Facebook Live working, but apparently the audio feed is showing listening to us when we're off mic. So just forgive us if we said anything we shouldn't have said. But Huma Abedin's emails provide further evidence of Clinton pay scandal. That's another scandal coming up. Former Hillary aide Huma Abedin used her personal email account to transmit classified documents and coordinate favors for Clinton donors, according to emails obtained by Judicial Watch this week. Judicial Watch obtained the documents as part of a lawsuit filed on after the State Department failed to respond to a March 2015 Freedom of Information Act request. The emails reveal multiple instances in which Abedin used her personal account to send and receive classified documents as well as arrange personal favors for the Clintons. Now, the media doesn't talk about this stuff. They'd rather talk about Donald Trump Jr. and all that other stuff. But at the White House press briefing, where we have a newly minted press secretary, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who's no slouch herself. She came, the apple didn't far fall from the tree. Her dad is a good one, too. She basically, Sarah, they asked her about a misleading statement from Don Jr. about the purpose of his meeting with Russian lawyer Natalia Veselnitskaya at Trump Tower last year, that is. I'm learning how to say Veselnitskaya because we're going to have to say it more frequently.
I just call him the lawyer.
So here's the interchange with a reporter and Sarah.
That Don Jr. had a meeting that was based on the pretext that he would be promised information that was negative about Hillary Clinton, but he suggested that the statement only say that the meeting was primarily about Russian adoption policy?
Like I said, the statement that was issued was true and there were no inaccuracies in the statement. I think what the bigger question is, everybody wants to try to make this some story about misleading. The only thing I see misleading is a year's worth of stories that have been fueling a false narrative about this Russia collusion and based on a phony scandal based on anonymous sources. And I think that is, if we're going to talk about misleading, that's the only thing misleading I see in this entire.
Sarah went on to lay it all out, all the things that they've ignored while they're chasing down rabbit holes on the Trumps.
Question is, everybody wants to try to make this a story about misleading. The only thing I see misleading is a year's worth of stories that have been fueling a false narrative about this Russia collusion and based on a phony scandal based on anonymous sources. And I think that is, if we're going to talk about misleading, that's the only thing misleading I see in this entire process. You guys are focused on a meeting that Don Jr. had no consequence when the Democrats actually colluded with a foreign government like Ukraine. The Democrat-linked firm Fusion GPS actually took money from the Russian government while it created the phony dossier that's been the basis for all of the Russia scandal fake news. And if you want to talk further about a relationship with Russia, look no further than the Clintons, as we've said time and time again. Bill Clinton was paid $500,000 to give a speech to a Russian bank and was personally thanked by Putin for it. Hillary Clinton allowed 1/5 of America's uranium to reserve to be sold to a Russian firm whose investors were Clinton Foundation donors, and the Clinton campaign chairman's brother lobbied against sanctions on Russia's largest bank and failed to report it. If you guys want to talk about having relations, which you seem obsessed with doing, look no further than there. If you want to talk about somebody who's actually been tough on Russia, look at President Trump. He wants more fracking, more coal, more energy, a stronger military, a stronger defense. Those things aren't good for Russia. I think the distinctions are very clear, and you guys want to create a narrative.
Thank you, Sarah. Sarah knows how to put it out there. Folks, if you're not hearing the full tracks from the YouTube or Facebook Live broadcast, we will reconstitute it and repost it on Facebook later so you can see the whole package together. Apologize for that. Trump has endorsed new immigration bill to cut green card limits. You know, Tony, from the 1920s through 1965, there was virtually no immigration into the United States. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
Ted Kennedy and the Democrats pushed to restore it because they wanted more voters. And so this is why that changed. But the tradition of the United States has not always been everybody come on in. That's never been the case. And it was always a merit-based system prior to the Democrats meddling with it. Now, Trump wants to restore us to a merit-based system. So he introduced, along with Senator Perdue and Senator Tom Cotton, something called the RAISE Act.
Yeah.
Okay. And the RAISE Act, was sponsored by those two senators, would set standards. This is the biggest reform of legal immigration in 50 years, and let's hear what it's about.
Today, I campaigned on creating a merit-based immigration system that protects U.S. workers and taxpayers, and that is why we are here today, merit-based. The RAISE Act, R-A-I-S-E, the RAISE Act will reduce poverty, increase wages, and save taxpayers billions and billions of dollars. It will do this by changing the way the United States issues green cards to nationals from other.
The president explained how liberal green card policies have hurt American workers and have helped non-skilled foreign workers, many of whom come here and wind up on the welfare system at the expense of working Americans who could otherwise benefit.
Cards provide permanent residency, work authorization, and fast track to citizenship. For decades, the United States was operated and has operated a very low-skilled immigration system, issuing record numbers of green cards to low-wage immigrants. This policy has placed substantial pressure on American workers, taxpayers, and community resources. Among those hit the hardest in recent years have been immigrants, and very importantly, minority workers competing for jobs against brand new arrivals. And it has not been fair to our people, to our citizens.
The RAISE Act raises the standards for immigration and thereby elevates the labor market in America for everybody.
Ends chain migration and replaces our low-skilled system with a new points-based system for receiving a green card. This competitive application process will favor applicants who can speak English, financially support themselves and their families, and demonstrate skills that will contribute to our.
The American welfare system has been an easy touch for foreign immigrants for years. We've been a magnet for that, and this will change that forever.
Prevents new migrants and new immigrants from collecting welfare, and protects U.S. workers from being displaced. And that's a very big thing. They're not going to come in and just immediately go and collect welfare. That doesn't happen under the RAISE Act.
And it restores wages for working Americans in a significant way.
Reforms in the RAISE Act will give American workers a pay raise by reducing unskilled immigration. This legislation will not only restore our competitive edge in the 21st century, but it will restore the sacred bonds of trust between America and its citizens. This legislation demonstrates our compassion for struggling American families who deserve an immigration system that puts their needs first and that puts America.
A central promise kept by the president.
Yeah, let's drill down on this just 1 minute, because, you know, for the last 25 to 30 years, a lot of you out there may have grown up or may just believe that when an immigrant was brought into this country that they were coming here because they wanted to work. Well, you know, if you really drill down on this and study this particular issue, they didn't all come here to work. And then the ones that did come in, you know, they were able to reach back out to bring in 20 or 30 or 40 extended family. So you're not just bringing in one person, you're bringing in 25 or 30 relatives, cousins, and all these other things. And they don't all come. I was shocked a couple of years ago when I started looking into this to find out how many, you know, green card people are here drawing welfare, coming out of my pocket, your pocket, and everybody else's. You know, if they come to this country, it's like President Trump said, they should not ever get on welfare. If you can't take care of yourself and your family, and that's what this new thing is about, you come here, you need to take care of yourself. Don't come here assuming that we're going to take care of you.
Even the classic era when the immigrants came a large way from Europe, they always had to have somebody, a sponsor in America, to show that they could provide for themselves. They didn't come here with the expectation of getting a free ride. They came here with the opportunity in America. Opportunity is what they came for, not a free ride. And Jim Acosta from CNN, true to his form, decided to wax poetic about Emma Lazarus's poem, which was never inscribed on the Statue of Liberty. It was put on the pedestal later after a lobbying campaign. And in fact, about 20 years, almost 20 years after the statue was put up, it was a tribute to the French and the French Revolution and liberty. It was not about immigration. It was first put up. The Emma Lazarus poem was morphed into it. So he decided to lecture Steve Miller, a senior policy advisor to Trump, who writes some of Trump's greatest speeches. And he got taken to school by Steve Miller.
What the president is proposing here does not sound like it's in keeping with American tradition when it comes to immigration. The Statue of Liberty says, give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, your aim to breathe free. It doesn't say anything about speaking English or being able to be a computer programmer. Aren't you trying to change what it means to be an immigrant coming into this country if you're telling them you have to speak English? Can't people learn how to speak English when they get here?
Well, first of all, right now, it's a requirement to be naturalized, you have to speak English. So the notion that speaking English wouldn't be a part of our immigration systems would be actually very ahistorical. Secondly, I don't want to get off into a whole thing about history here, but the Statue of Liberty is a symbol of liberty enlightening the world. It's a symbol of American liberty lighting the world. The poem that you're referring to was added later. It's not actually part of the original Statue of Liberty, but more fundamentally, the history, but more fundamentally,
you're saying
the
that
history.
That does not represent.
I'm saying that the notion.
Sorry.
No,
that sounds like
Jim, let me ask you a question.
That sounds like some national park revision.
No.
The Statue of Liberty has always been
let me
a
ask you a
beacon
question.
of hope to the world for people to send
Jim, do you
their
believe
people to this country, and they're not always going to speak English, Stephen.
Jim,
they're not
do you
always
believe
going to be highly skilled. They're not always
Jim,
going to be
Jim, I appreciate your speech. Jim, I appreciate your speech. So let's talk about this. Jim, let's talk about this. In 1970, when we let in 300,000 people a year, was that violating or not violating the Statue of Liberty law of the land? In the 1990s, when it was 500,000 a year, was it violating or not violating the Statue of Liberty law of the land? When it was 700,000 a year, no, tell me what years meet Jim Acosta's definition of the Statue of Liberty poem.
Well, then he finishes him off. Let's go to cut number 3. When he tries to raise the issue, does that mean that only people from England and Australia can come here? And watch how Steve Miller carves them up into little pieces.
This whole notion of, well, they could learn, they have to learn English before they get to the United States. Are we just going to bring in people from Great Britain and Australia?
Joe, it's actually, I honestly say, I am shocked at your statement that you think that only people from Great Britain and Australia would know English. It's actually, it reveals your cosmopolitan bias to a shocking degree that in your mind, no, this is an amazing moment. This is an amazing moment. That you think only people from Great Britain or Australia would speak English is so insulting to millions of hard-working immigrants who do speak English from all over the world. Jim, have you honestly never met an immigrant from another country who speaks English outside of Great Britain and Australia? Is that your personal experience? But that's not what you said, and it shows your cosmopolitan bias. And I just want to say,
engineer the racial and ethnic flow of people.
Okay, we're back.
Yeah, that is one of the most outrageous, insulting, ignorant, and foolish things you've ever said. And for you, that's still a really... The notion that you think that this is a racist bill is so wrong and so insulting. Jim,
I'm not hearing anything.
The reality is that the foreign-born population into our country has quadrupled since 1970. That's a fact. It's been mostly driven by green card policy. Now, this bill allows for immediate nuclear family members to come into the country, much as they would today, and then it adds an additional points-based system. The people who've been hurt the most, the people who've been hurt the most by the policy you're advocating are apparently just unfettered, uncontrolled migration. The people who've been hurt the most by the policy. The people who've been hurt the most by the policy that you're. The people who've been hurt the most by the policy you're advocating are immigrant workers, and minority workers, and African American workers, and Hispanic workers.
Okay, we're back. Now, the RAISE Act is the first serious attempt to reduce immigration in generations. When President Donald Trump stood with Senators Tom Cotton and David Perdue, they made that point. Okay, got it?
All right, now we're still hung up.
We're still hung up. Okay, now, fighting the gangs. Got it?
Okay.
You got it? Here we go. There we go. All right.
I got it. Go ahead.
Fighting the gangs, another thing. Trump on Long Island. Tom Holman, who's the acting director of ICE, talking about the effort to fight the illegal immigration going on with criminal gangs, and what they're trying to do to curb the onslaught of those criminal gangs. Tom Holman was paying tribute to the police, working with the feds, and why sanctuary cities don't work in cut number 1.
To send a clear message to MS-13 and all other criminal gangs. You are not welcome here, and you will not find safe harbor. President Trump has made it a priority to get these criminals off the street. If they are in the U.S. illegally, out of the country. That's exactly what the men and women of ICE are going to do to keep America safe.
That was Tom Holman, back on camera. Tom Holman, we're going to go after these gangs with everything we've got, he said. Cut number 2.
To be clear, we will be relentless in our pursuit of every member, associate, and leader of MS-13. From the command and control element in El Salvador to the lone gang member walking within our communities, we will target all of you. We will bring a laser focus to the absolute destruction of this cowardly organization that terrorizes the most vulnerable in our country. It's time for the victimization and the fear in our communities to end. However, it's time for every member of MS-13 to be in fear. Look over their shoulder. Look in their rearview mirror, because ICE and his partners are coming hard.
So we're going to take a break, Tony, after you have a few things to say about that.
Well, we've got Wayne. We got time to take the call.
Wayne in Ormond Beach. Yes, Wayne.
What's up, Wayne?
Well,
Yeah,
I believe they're
agree.
going to limit the number that come in, though, Wayne. It's not going to be an unlimited number as it has been in the past. You have a valid point. Yeah.
Yeah, they've got to cut back on, what is it, the H-1B? Yeah, they've got to cut those back. Yep, yep. And then, of course, this also is reducing the total immigration from 1 million down to 500,000, which is another, positive thing.
Yeah, that's going to cut it in half, Wayne, and I think that the numbers that they're going to bring through are going to be people who are going to be adding to the economy, and this economy is going to you got to account for this, Wayne. If Trump gets through the tax cuts and the healthcare reform and the other reforms of deregulation that he wants, this economy is going to be big enough to accommodate both the immigrants and the native population together, because this economy is going to be booming at 3 or 4%. And so when you have that, you won't have an issue of that job market being limited. You're absolutely right. Wayne, thanks for calling in.
Wayne.
We appreciate it. We have to go to a break, and we'll be back with a few other interesting tidbits when Trump Talk Live continues.
Our voice can be heard loud and clear. Right here
Mulvaney
on
talking
Trump
about
Talk
health care.
Live.
I think we got health care on the list.
0033.
And we've got
You can call us toll-free
affirmative
from
action.
anywhere in the
Sessions is going to try to
800
curb some of the affirmative action that's going haywire on campuses. We've got Trump on business. We've got a few cuts there about how great the economy's been going from Trump. And we got Adam Carolla talking about these snowflakes on campus. I think it's a great way to end, if we can get to it. There's so many things.
Well, I mean, the session thing is confusing.
Yeah.
Might be better.
We can skip that until it gets more politically solidified.
There's lawsuits involved in it.
Yeah. And healthcare, maybe a Trump bite on the economy, and then we'll do Corolla. And Al Gore, maybe. Yeah. And Kid Rock looks like he's going to rock Michigan. Yeah. Don't have a lot of time left. 5 minutes. See, that clock's throwing me off. I keep looking up at it, and it's.
And then the kids go get to mow the lawn
This
at
clock
the
is
White House.
this clock is wrong. That clock is wrong. I rely on my iPhone to tell me what time it is.
The lawnmower guy's gonna get to take his lawnmower to the White House.
Kim.
Call us toll-free from anywhere in the USA at 800-927-0.
Welcome back, Trumpublicans. We have quite a few interesting items for you. Mick Mulvaney, the OMB director for Trump, says it's White House policy that the Senate keep its focus on health care. They fumbled more times than not, but it's official policy that the Senate stay focused on health care, Obamacare, according to Mick Mulvaney. He told this to Jake Tapper on CNN, because he says, if you want to do tax reform, you got to get this nut cracked with Obamacare, with all those taxes that are in there. They've got to free up money. Now, Trump talked about the economy to small business this week. He talked about a number of things that have happened since he took office, including the energy boom that's resulted from his deregulation of all the oppressive Obama regulations. Let's start with that.
The tremendous, the massive restrictions on American energy, and numbers are going to be released next week that are going to be earth-shattering as to what we're doing with energy and the amounts of energy we're producing.
And he talked about business investor confidence, as strong as it's ever been.
It has reached an all-time high today. All-time high. Think of it. Nobody ever talks about it.
Yep.
They don't talk about it.
And what about unemployment, Mr. President? What about unemployment?
Think about another factor, that unemployment just hit a 16-year low. They don't want to talk about it.
Remember when they scoffed at the notion that Trump's budget director had that we would have an economy going at 3% GDP, which was the historical norm for many years
we're almost there.
before Obama? Well, here's what's happening.
To me, maybe the biggest is that GDP for the quarter just released at 2.6%.
Coming out of this, you'll have a minute.
So that's so much higher than anticipated.
Coming out of this, you'll have a
We're
minute.
saying we're going to try to hit
Okay.
3% sometime
Okay.
over the next year to 2 years. 2.6 is getting closer, Gary, closer than we thought and a lot faster than we thought. But don't worry about the 3. We're going to be higher than 3 in the not.
Thank you, President Trump. This is where we sit right now. We have the Mueller investigation. We have the Democrat shenanigans being largely ignored by the Trump hating media. We have the Hollywood folks setting their hair on fire over Trump. But we have the American workers. Right now, as I speak, Trump is speaking to a rally of rousing Trumpublicans in West Virginia, where the governor of West Virginia just announced that he's hopping from the Democrat Party to the Republican Party. And that bears some applause, folks, and it's all because of Donald J. Trump, his mission to make America great again. And do not lose faith, because Tony and I will be here every week.
Let's give a shout out to the lawnmower kid that's going to go to the White House. If President Trump has invited him to the White House
to cut the grass. We'll see you next week on Trump Talk Live.
Stuck in a state of compensation stagnation? You know, another year.
Good job, guys.
Here at State Farm agent Sonia Moore,
Yeah.
you get to a better state with a discount.